Chapter 1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Was this really not a dangerous room? Chang Xia looked at the 50 or 60 square meter crypt-style tent with worn animal skins draped over branches and bounded by vines that were simple and rustic. The corners of Chang Xia's mouth couldn't help but twitch twice. She felt speechless and choked as she looked around. By now, the clansman who had sent her over had already left. She put down her back basket and put her luggage inside aside. She was in no hurry. No mistake. This was where she would live for the rest of her life. After quietly admiring it for a moment, Chang Xia turned to look at Chen Rong behind her. His face was pale, and his steps were faltering and weak. Stay outside, Chang Xia said. I'll go in and clean up by myself. It's fine, let me follow you in. This beast lair hasn't been inhabited for a long time. Apart from insects and ants, we still have to check if there's any decay on the roof. Chen Rong smiled and explained. How could he let Chang Xia be busy alone? Although his clansmen had helped them check the beast lair and there was definitely no major problem, who knew if there were other minor problems? After all, this place was a distance from the tribe. This beast lair had been abandoned for a long time. No matter how bad he was still a male beast and was much stronger than a female. Hearing this, Chang Xia thought for a moment, then agreed, sure. I picked some wormwood earlier. I'll light it later and let the smoke drive out the insects in the beast lair first. Then you can check the roof. Soon, a pungent odor spread. A slithering sound crept into their ears. Step back. Chen Rong pulled Chang Xia aside and took 7 or 8 steps back with the basket on his back. All kinds of insects and ants quickly climbed out of the beast lair. Clearly, the smell of the wormwood made them uncomfortable. After a few minutes, the wormwood burned out, and no more insects and ants crawled out of the beast lair. Only then did the two of them lift the animal hide curtain to ventilate the lair. Chang Xia quickly began to throw out the abandoned things in the beast lair. She paid attention as Chen Rong examined the roof while recalling what had happened a few days ago. 1 second ago, Chang Xia was busy killing the high-level zombies who had caught wind of her and were rushing to survive. The next second, she became a female of the Halua tribe of the beast race. Xia, the beasts had to live independently as adults. Every year, the tribe would take the adult males and females to Normandy. Normandy was the largest market in the Twilight Forest, where beasts, birds, fish, and many other races gathered. The males and females who saw eye to eye would choose to marry and then decide to live in their respective desired tribes. Chang Xia did not want to get married, but the only way to obtain the recognition of a tribe was to get married. This continent was different from Earth. This place was extremely dangerous. Without the protection of a tribe, even she could not guarantee that she would survive. After experiencing the apocalypse, Chang Xia's only thought was to survive. A few days ago, she followed the Halua tribe to Normandy, where there were many male and female marriages to be arranged. Chang Xia was led by her people to go on blind dates. She was thin and weak looking, and a dragon cat beast with weak combat power. Many people rejected her. The beast race's blind dates were different than Earth because appearance was not as important. What was important was their species, combat power and overall strength. Otherwise, how could they deal with powerful beasts? The ones who valued appearance were the birds. The birds were xenophobic and rarely married the beasts. Similarly, the fish race was the same. Chang Xia was thin and small, and she was a dragon cat who was not good at fighting. Of course, no one liked her. Chang Xia had no choice but to hide in a corner. The beasts were all burly. They looked down on her, but Chang Xia really looked down on them. All of them were muscular and ugly. She was small and thin. The beasts were clearly not human. What did it mean to be 2 meters tall? Chang Xia, who was 1.7 meters tall, felt like she had arrived in giant country. The Halua tribe that Chang Xia belonged to was located in the Twilight Forest of the eastern continent. Twilight Forest was a paradise for the beast race. To the east was the bird race and to the south was the sea. The fish race lived there. Chang Xia was not sure about anything further. Chang Xia was weak and sickly. She had lived in the Halua tribe for as long as she could remember and had been raised by the tribesmen. She had never seen her parents and had heard from the chief of the Halua tribe that Chang Xia had been picked up by the shaman outside the Twilight Forest. The shaman lived alone in the holy mountain of Kana in the Twilight Forest and could not raise Chang Xia, so he had sent her to the Halua tribe. Chang Xia was in poor health, ate little, and was a picky eater. She was naturally thin and weak-looking. The beasts valued their children. Even though Chang Xia was not related to the Halua tribe by blood, her clansmen still raised her with all their might. However, Chang Xia's body was weak, and she still looked sickly when she reached adulthood. Growl! Chang Xia rubbed her rumbling stomach. She was hungry. The tribe ate nothing but roasted meat and stew. The taste could be described in one word. Awful. Even after struggling for years in the post-apocalyptic world, Chang Xia still found it difficult to accept. However, living in the tribe could not be too unique. She could only endure it. This time, she had gone all out to come to the great Normandy market. She had to find a male who was pleasing to the eye. She did not have to worry about being nagged by the chief and her clansmen. She had to get married even if it was just to eat. Otherwise, she would not be able to live. At the Great Market of Normandy, on the plains of Normandy. Although it was called a market, it was actually built from various animal skin tents. The beasts lived rough lives and did not have many hygiene standards or aesthetics. Other than the birds and fish being a little particular, the beasts usually slept on the ground. Looking at the passing crowd, Chang Xia had a headache that in her mind, she could not help but recall what the patriarch had said: "You're too weak. You have to hurry up and find a male to marry. Otherwise, how will you support yourself in the future?" Of course, the beasts were not obligated to get married as adults. Chang Xia was a special case. She was weak and prone to illness. The adult tribe could no longer support her. If she did not get married, the clansmen would naturally worry that she would starve to death. The sun started to set. Did she waste her time again today? Chang Xia rubbed her hungry stomach, her eyes constantly scanning the passing crowd. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. A thin male approached the edge of the large market. He was very thin, on the tall side, and appeared to be more than 2 meters tall. His hair was disheveled, knotted, and his face was deathly pale. His complexion was almost translucent, and his gait was insubstantial and slow. He looked like he was terminally ill and would not live long. Chang Xia did not value someone with no strength. After all, she wasn't really helpless. Most importantly, this male had a good-looking face. He was definitely the most handsome man Chang Xia had ever seen. Thinking about it, Chang Xia rose and stepped forward. "Male. Want to get married?" Chen Rong had just returned to the eastern continent and was in a daze. As expected, he was stopped by a female. He looked down at the female who had just reached his chest, thin and sallow. Her palm-sized cheek was dominated by a pair of vibrant eyes. "My name is Chang Xia. I'm from the Beast clan of Halua." "Male, what's your name? Are you married? Do you want to be married to me? Food and accommodation will be provided." Chen Rong fell silent. Had he been away from Twilight Forest for too long? Were all females so hot and passionate these days? For a moment, Chen Rong could not react. He was dumbfounded. Seeing the male dazed and distracted, Chang Xia waved her hand and said loudly, "Are you unwilling? Are you an adult?" Chen Rong hesitated and could not help but laugh. "Are all the female beasts as direct as you?" "As I recall, only the birds are so straightforward. Who would come to the great Normandy market before they reach adulthood? Don't worry about whether I'm direct or not. Do you promise to marry me?" Chang Xia looked at Chen Rong's lanky body, stepped forward, and reached out to pat him twice. "You're sick. No female will like you. Don't worry, I can support you. So, do you want to come back to the Halua tribe with me?" Seeing this, Chen Rong could not help but laugh again. It was the first time he had seen such a vibrant female, and for once he was curious. "I can eat a lot. Are you sure you can support me?" Chang Xia looked at Chen Rong's face seriously. It was beautiful. After a moment's thought, she pulled out the clay pot in her basket and took out 2 fish balls the size of a baby's fist. These were fish balls made from the fish caught in the fish basket she had secretly made. The fish weighed 7 or 8 pounds. Chang Xia didn't have ginger, onions, or garlic as ingredients, so she turned the fish into fish balls. What is this? Chen Rong asked curiously. Chang Xia passed the fish balls to him and replied, fish balls, on the house. Chen Rong looked at Chang Xia and then at the fish balls in front of him. Perhaps living in the Hulua tribe would be a good choice. My name is Chen Rong. I'm from the Beast Fighting Wolves clan. At the moment, I've just wandered to Twilight Forest. A moment later, the 2 of them came to stand before the chief of the Hulua tribe. Chang Xia, have you really decided? Root was a little confused. A few minutes ago, Chang Xia had led Chen Rong to the base of the Hulua tribe and introduced him, telling him that this was the mate she had found. Immediately, everyone in the Hulua tribe was stunned. Although the clansmen were not satisfied with Chen Rong, they ultimately chose to congratulate Chang Xia. Chief, I've decided. Chang Xia nodded cautiously. Chen Rong looks weak, but he's still pretty strong. Root grimaced and agreed. After all, he had no choice but to agree. The other males despised Chang Xia. Chen Rong might be the only male in the large market in Normandy who did not mind Chang Xia. Chang Xia would still live in the tribe from now on. If it really did not work out, he and his clansmen would take care of them. So, they waited for the big market to end. Chen Rong followed Chang Xia to the territory of the Hulua tribe. When they returned to the tribe, there was no delay at all. Root shared the beast lair that Chang Xia had chosen with Chen Rong. There was no marriage ceremony among the beasts. As long as they saw eye to eye, it was considered a marriage. Chang Xia's health was poor, so she couldn't build a lair. This beast lair was left behind by the tribe's former clansmen. It was considered an exception, they were basically living off the tribe. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.